around the Southwest Missouri area, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. on YouTube, KSMU, and on the Audio Reader Network at Kansas University. For more information, please visit us at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. Please stay tuned as our broadcast will start soon. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe on our YouTube channel now. At Blind Community Thrift Store on YouTube, and more info about this radio reading service, Navalins, and the Blind Community Thrift Store at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. The Blind Community Thrift Store radio reading service will begin shortly. We will be reading local news from around the Southwest Missouri area, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. on YouTube, KSMU, and on the Audio Reader Network at Kansas University. For more information, please visit us at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. Please stay tuned as our broadcast will start soon. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe on our YouTube channel now. At Blind Community Thrift Store on YouTube, and more info about this radio reading service, Navalins, and the Blind Community Thrift Store at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. The Blind Community Thrift Store radio reading service will begin shortly. We will be reading local news from around the Southwest Missouri area, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. on YouTube, KSMU, and on the Audio Reader Network at Kansas University. For more information, please visit us at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. Please stay tuned as our broadcast will start soon. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe on our YouTube channel now. At Blind Community Thrift Store on YouTube, and more info about this radio reading service, Navalins, and the Blind Community Thrift Store at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. The Blind Community Thrift Store radio reading service will begin shortly. We will be reading local news from around the Southwest Missouri area, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. on YouTube, KSMU, and on the Audio Reader Network at Kansas University. For more information, please visit us at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. Please stay tuned as our broadcast will start soon. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe on our YouTube channel now. At Blind Community Thrift Store on YouTube, and more info about this radio reading service, Navalins, and the Blind Community Thrift Store at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. The Blind Community Thrift Store radio reading service will begin shortly. We will be reading local news from around the Southwest Missouri area, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. on YouTube, KSMU, and on the Audio Reader Network at Kansas University. For more information, please visit us at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. Please stay tuned as our broadcast will start soon. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe on our YouTube channel now. At Blind Community Thrift Store on YouTube, and more info about this radio reading service, Navalins, and the Blind Community Thrift Store at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. The Blind Community Thrift Store radio reading service will begin shortly. We will be reading local news from around the Southwest Missouri area, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. on YouTube, KSMU, and on the Audio Reader Network at Kansas University. For more information, please visit us at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. Please stay tuned as our
Just bounce back and forth.
So you do the intro, I'll do the weather, and then back to you.
Okay, fine.
Cool.
And I'm gonna do Leggett and Platt. And I don't know if he mentioned to you or if they mentioned to you. If we reread something, it was the day after New Year's. Nobody was listening. Anyway.
The time is 10 a.m.
Good morning. Thank you for tuning in to the Blind Community Thrift Store radio reading service. My name is Pat, and I'm here with Tony. We invite you to listen to our broadcasts both live and on demand. Our live sessions are available on the Blind Community Thrift Store YouTube channel, Monday to Friday, between 10 a.m. and 12 p.m. each week. Additionally, you can access on-demand content through the Audio Reader Network, which offers a wide range of audio materials for the visually impaired community. To explore content from the Audio Reader Network, please visit www.reader.ku.edu. The site provides details about accessing content via Amazon Alexa, Audio Reader Network mobile app, and information on receiving a radio to listen to the broadcast by KSMU Radio. All broadcasts are played over KSMU's subcarrier airwave at 67 kilohertz on 91.1 from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. Contact Audio Reader Network for more information on receiving a pre-programmed radio.
Hello there, this is Tony, and we're going to be delving into the news right now. Today is January 5th on a Monday, and the weather today is going to be 65 degrees with areas of patchy fog early and abundant sunshine, so it's going to be nice and warm today, folks. Tonight, however, it's going to get a little colder, down to the 35s and 50s.
This is from the SBJ staff. Came out on the 29th of December, so it's a couple days old, but it probably won't be completed for a while anyway. The Board of Directors of Leggett & Platt, in Carthage-based manufacturer Leggett & Platt, is continuing to review a potential acquisition that was announced earlier in December. Leggett & Platt on December 1 confirmed receipt of an unsolicited proposal from Dallas, Texas-based Somni Group International, Inc., NYSE SGI, a betting company. A news release indicated that Leggett & Platt board is conducting a review of the proposal and does not intend to comment further until the process is completed. A Leggett & Platt spokesperson said in an email this morning that nothing new is available to share at this time. We have experienced advisors working through the process of our board, and we are carefully considering the best path forward for Leggett and its shareholders. The all-stock proposal has a market value of $12 per Leggett & Platt share. It reportedly values Leggett & Platt, which makes bedding components, home and work furniture components, automotive seat systems, and more, at over $1.6 billion. Leggett & Platt has been an important supplier for our company for years, says Scott Thompson, chair and CEO of Somni Group, in a separate news release announcing the potential deal. This proposal could deliver significant value to Leggett & Platt shareholders through a compelling premium and tax-advantaged participation in our combined flat platform, while also being a creative accretive before synergies to all Somni Group shareholders. The release indicates Leggett & Platt would operate independently with its management team largely intact. Under the Somni Group umbrella should be a deal completed. In August, Leggett & Platt closed on a sale of an international aerospace products division to New York City-based Tenicum, Inc., according to past reporting. Leggett & Platt, in January 24, announced a reconstructing initiative with planned plant closures and workforce reductions, and the company brought back former CEO Carl Glassman shortly after. In the third quarter, Leggett & Platt reported earnings of $127.1 million, a 183% increase from $44.9 million a year earlier. During the third quarter, Somni Group International's profits were $177.4 million, a 36.5% increase from $130 million a year earlier. LEG shares were trading at 11.01 as of 9:19 a.m., compared with a 52-week range of $6.48 to $12.03 per share. SGI shares were trading at $91.16, which compares with a 52-week range of $53.10 to $95.36 per share. Again, this was submitted by the SBJ staff on December 29th.
Are you looking ahead to 2026? Springfield, Missouri has a lot to be excited about. From the major infrastructure projects and public art to the new restaurants and nationally recognized celebrations, the city is stepping into a year filled with momentum, creativity, and connection. Whether you're a visitor planning for your next trip or a local eager to see what's coming next, here's some things you should be excited for. They're kicking off the Route 66 National Sentinel Kickoff. It's the event where Springfield is gearing up to host the National Route 66 Sentinel Kickoff from April 3rd to May 3rd on 2026, a once-in-a-lifetime celebration marking 100 years of America's most iconic highway. As the official host city and the birthplace of Route 66, Springfield will be the center of major festivities, including a national broadcast concert from A-list entertainment, historic dedications, classic car shows, lively parades, and community activities that honor the road's legacy and cultural impact. With the live entertainment, educational experiences, drone shows, and special ceremonies celebrating both the Mother Road and America's 250th birthday, this multi-day event promises unforgettable moments for the visitors and locals alike.
One of our periodicals here that we use a lot is the Springfield Business Journal. And this business journal has recently been transferred. The ownership has been transferred. We'll go ahead and give you the previous owner first. Jennifer Jackson, just the second owner of the Springfield Business Journal since her mother, Diane Elizabeth Osis, founded the news organization in 1980, is retiring from the media industry. Jackson sold SBJ's assets for an undisclosed term to SBJ Marty Goodright, who becomes the owner effective January 2nd. Who is Jennifer Jackson? Jackson mused aloud when a reporter posed the question just days before the sale was finalized. Well, from a professional perspective, I see myself as very entrepreneurial. I am an entrepreneur. As she exits the news organization, Jackson says she's far from retiring from business, looking for her to continue a long-standing interest in real estate as a commercial realtor alongside Gerald Zamora as Zamora Real Estate powered by the firm Commercial, she said. Jackson said, I have taken a job with someone else's company for the first time in a very long time. For the first time in 20 years, I am working with a group, but still as an independent contractor. Asked about Jackson's prospects at Zamora Real Estate in a December 29th interview, Zamora said, you'll see great impacts. He noted that receiving a 2021 Trusted Advisors Commercial Realtor honor from SBJ was literally one of the largest catalysts for my success. In terms of the role Jackson is undertaking at the firm, Zamora said Jackson is challenging herself to become a market and industry expert, working plenty of 12-hour days. He added, she's a person of integrity and trust. She's a person that has no quit. Passion and ambition. In 2020, Jackson told an SBJ reporter, my greatest hope is that I can honor my mother's passion for the Business Journal and marry that with a financial outlook that is ambitious. Asked last week whether and how Jackson achieved this goal, Osis answered in the affirmative, well, I knew she would. Osis added her communication skills, both in writing and in speaking, were a huge asset in building SBJ in the community, building relationships. I think she's accomplished that because now SBJ is going on to its next level, its new future, which will build on that. Additionally, Osis recalled, what sticks in my mind right away is the heroic way that she brought the Business Journal through the pandemic. It was unheard of for us, our staff, to work at home. She sent everybody home and everybody was networked in. That wasn't from the form of business leadership that folks necessarily expected from Jackson, friends and family say. Osis said that initially, neither of her two children were in a hurry to join SBJ professionally. I knew they had long years of education and other careers ahead of them. But after years with another organization, OSIS said that Jackson started working with me again, little by little, and she was sure that she wanted to do this. She became sure. She saw the position that the Business Journal has in the community, and she wanted to be a part of it, and she certainly did. It was around this time, 2007, that Jackson earned her doctoral degree in higher education leadership from the University of Missouri at St. Louis. Additionally, OSIS said Jackson showed leadership traits in early life. She has the confidence to let her opinion be heard, her voice be heard. At anything she was involved in, she had that essential confidence that put her at the head of the table. Many interests. Jackson said, I thought about how fortunate I am to have been able to experience, to pursue too many different interests in my career. Well, even at college, I started out very entrepreneurially. As a young student, Jackson said she bought into a bakery business on Walnut Street located near the former site of Casper's Chili Restaurant. I did that for about 2 years before I decided it wasn't my calling and went back to college, Jackson said, but I took what I learned there and continued to put myself through college by catering and baking wedding cakes on the weekends. Jackson's bakery business came after working through junior high and high school for OSIS at SBJ's former location on Sunshine Street in space that now serves as a tattoo artist for the Kaleidoscope Retail Boutique. Following college at MSU, where Jackson earned a bachelor's and master's degree in communication in 1992 and 1995, respectively, she kindled an interest in the construction industry. She said she worked for residential contractors managing an accounting software application written by her late husband, Joel Jackson. I discovered I loved it and discovered my late husband had a natural talent as well for designing and construction, she said. This work eventually led Jackson to Ozarks Technical Community College, where in the late 1990s she directed a unit known as Project Crew, Construction Readiness Education for Women. Project Crew is all about addressing barriers that many women face as they begin to fill jobs that have traditionally been held by men, Jackson wrote in a November 7, 1998 SBJ column. These barriers, however, have slowly begun to dissipate as more and more women pave the road for other women to follow. Marilyn Phelan, owner and chief strategist for Phelan Communications and a former SBJ publishing vice president, overseeing creative services, sales, and other activities, remembers this era well. At that time, Phelan served Ozark Tech as public information officer. We were building the car as we were driving it, Phelan recalled, as they shared work in community construction education. In the late 2000s, Phelan joined SBJ. Shortly afterward, the Great Recession struck, and in its aftermath, the 2011 Joplin tornado wreaked havoc. We had Joplin Tri-State Business Journal at the time, and the tornado came through, Phelan said. So we were dealing with the recession and the tornado and trying to keep everybody employed and keep the business healthy and all of that. Joplin's business community recovered, Phelan said, despite tremendous damage from the tornado. Jackson, in 2013, sold the Joplin News Organization to Larry and Michael Warren, owners of Joplin-based Atlas Risk Management, LLC, according to past coverage. Larry Warren confirmed December 31st in an email that he and Michael owned and operated Joplin Tri-State Business Journal until 2017, when they closed it due to sagging revenue. We enjoyed our time owning and being part of it, Warren said. Phelan credits Jackson's shares with OSIS despite their distinctive. Phelan Jackson's Phelan credits Jackson's instinct for Business Journal for stewarding the company through economic downturn and the natural disaster. It's a personality trait Phelan believes Jackson shares with OSIS, despite their distinctiveness as individuals. Phelan believes Jackson shares with OSIS despite their distinctiveness for individuals. Jennifer's daughters have said it. Strong women raise strong women, Phelan recalls, and I don't think, from what I saw in their relationship, I don't think Jennifer saw the world any other way. Along with successfully facing the challenges of the economy and forces of nature, Phelan said Jackson turned her attention towards the news media's digital predicament, which was emerging at that time. As the 2000s turned towards the 2010s, Phelan said it became clear that some readers perceived that reading free content online was a sufficient dose of business news. While the internet had been around for a while, at that point we were still developing what the website was and what digital offerings were. It's hard to imagine now how, again, we were building the car as we were driving it. Tenacity and other characteristic Jackson exhibited, Phelan said. Viewed from within the Springfield community, SBJ has become a household name, providing a steady diet of business reporting. Viewed from the nationwide professional business journalism community, the take was quite a bit different, Phelan recalled. They were just baffled how a community our size could support a business publication. Yet SBJ continued to prosper, Phelan said, and it took serious work to make it happen. I don't know if Jennifer would describe herself as an optimist or not, Phelan said. I think she probably would, but what I saw wasn't exactly optimism, but a refusal to fail. Phelan added, it wasn't like an empty optimism, like everything's going to be fine. Everything's going to be fine. Now you had to dig deep, and I mean, she got that from her mother. Jackson's recollection dovetails with Phelan's. Not only did SBJ make its way through the downturn and the tornado, but the news organization has also embraced 21st century digital strategy. In the last couple of years of the 2000s, the SBJ team relaunched SBJ Net under Web 2.0 standards and introduced a subscriber paywall in the fall of 2010, according to past SBJ reporting. I am probably the most proud of our decision to protect the value of our coverage, Jackson said last week as she reflected on her time at SBJ. I think it was a scary thing when we locked down our website, and we made a big deal about it. We made a big splash about it. We did a whole advertising campaign around it. We had local business leaders dressed as clue characters, and we laid clues in the paper along and online regularly about what was coming. Jackson recalled that at least one major business community leader was very skeptical that the Springfield business community would pay for news content in a time when commodity information flowed across the internet. The Wall Street Journal was one of the few news organizations running a paid online subscription model prior to the 2010s. When Phelan said that when Jackson tasked her to implement a comprehensive digital upgrade for SBJ, concepts existed for what they were trying to accomplish, but not much else. It took months to create a plan, with Jackson communicating the urgency of the situation along the way, Phelan said. It was a unique coding problem that there was no code sharing back then, and this kind of coding didn't exist. So when we had to also work with the developers to figure out how to make this happen on a website, it was scary, but it was necessary, Jackson said. Number one, it helped us truly, I think, establish a value of our content and drive home the importance of having professional journalists creating the content and not simply taking sources of information that were otherwise available. Instead of being relegated to a curator, SBJ continues as a creator of business journalism, Jackson said. And so, while mainstream media nationwide just saw a massive decline of readership and subscribership, we doubled in that year and we continued to grow. Jackson identified 3 areas of connection provided by SBJ that make the difference for the publication before, during, and after her time at the helm of the business. Springfield Business Journal has always identified themselves as a connector of people to people, and people to businesses, and people to information, she said. Okay, that's really hard, and I think we've done all 3 of those things really well since inception and continue to do that today, even with all other means now available. This again was from December 29th in the SBJ, submitted by Gregory Holman, Deputy Editor.
Thank you, Miss Pat. Now, in case you guys missed it, I've got an article here from Mr. Mike O'Brien about how a local Springfield farmer built a life for himself with music without leaving the comfort of his home. Friends and fellow musicians marvel at the extraordinary number of songs, around 350, that Springfield troubadour Mr. Dallas Jones has churned out during the past 2 decades. And they find it remarkable that Jones finds time to play several gigs a week while also running a family's large farm. Turns out those 2 pursuits are linked. I write most of my songs while driving a tractor, says the 40-year-old Jones, who has followed his grandfather Rex and his father Doug into running the cattle and hay operation on a 1,000-acre adjacent land to Springfield Branson National Airport. When I'm on a tractor for 10 or 12 hours a day, I'll sing stuff into my phone and record it. Sometimes just one line here and one line there, maybe a chorus or something. Once in a while I'll start humming something and babble what we call dummy lyrics to get a melody out. But also, almost lyrics come out first. When I get home, I'll pick up an instrument and see what comes of it. As if those activities weren't enough to fill days well into the night, Jones also reserves quality time for his wife Melanie, who teaches at Willard Central Elementary School, and their sons Grant and Noah, 16 and 14 respectively. Although he has attracted loyal fans as a musical performer and admiration from colleagues as a prolific musical composer, he just keeps pumping them out. All the local songwriters love him and hate him for that. Jones says he's only in recent years that he's felt comfortable introducing himself as a musician. It used to be when somebody would ask what I would do for a living, I would always just say, I'm a farmer. Now I finally would say, I'm a farmer/musician, or maybe musician/farmer. Depending, Jones says, pausing and then clarifying. I actually don't consider myself as being in the music business. I think of myself as being in the entertainment business. Because in the music business, you've got to be out there always promoting yourself, willing to get into a van and drive across the country to gigs, neglect your wife and kids for several years, and even then, nothing may happen career-wise. The music business is rough. It's cruel. You've got to give up everything. You've got to really commit. But I like to be at home at night. I like seeing and being with my family every day. And fortunately, we have several places around here that will pay someone to sit in the corner for a couple hours and play music that people want to hear and be entertained with. Neither farmer nor musician, let alone a combination, were job titles that Jones aimed for while growing up. He worked on the farm from an early age, of course, but by the time he entered college, he had designs on getting into the advertising profession. However, Jones had always been intrigued by the musical activities of his older brother Jeff. When Jeff was a freshman in high school, he was in a musical, Jones recalled. I was in like 5th or 6th grade, and I remember watching him on stage just being transfixed, thinking, that's amazing. Jeff got into guitar a couple of years after that. When Jeff was gone, I'd sneak into his room and try to figure out how to play it. But there came a point when he told me, get your own guitar. So my grandpa bought me one for my own for my 14th birthday. Jones never received formal lessons in how to play guitar, but again, following his older brother's lead, he applied his self-described very high tenor singer voice to join choirs in junior high and high school, Willard High School in the class 1996 specifically. And like Jeff, his singing ability won him a local music scholarship to Drury University, where he majored in communication. As things turned out, I wish I had majored in music. That would have made things a lot more sense. I never took a music theory class, obviously. I wish I would have. I did take one piano class from an organist at Drury who was an accompanist for the choir. Her name was Dr. Erlyn Mulder, and she was a legend. She taught me some stuff, but I never could really read music, so I would learn pieces by ear. I looked at the page when I played for her, but she would say, "You're not reading the music, Mr. Jones." And I'd say, "No, but I'm playing it." For my final presentation, she made me do one of the songs from sheet music, but then she allowed me to play one. I think it was an Elton John song, just the way I wanted to play it. Jones performed with 2 choirs, concert and chamber, at Drury. But if you're just in choir after you get out of school, he said, what do? Which is sad. After receiving his diploma in communication in the spring of 2000, Jones interviewed for jobs in the advertising field. But it quickly became clear to him that he couldn't just work in an office. He didn't want to do any of that. He wanted to do music. So he went to Europe for 3 or 4 months of backpacking, got a Eurorail pass, and went to like 15 countries. It kind of just changed his perspective. By Christmas of 2000, Jones had returned to the Ozarks and the family farm. They had never really had a big conversation about what he was going to do with his life, but he persevered as a father and had a house building business for a while. I never really planned on being a farmer, he said. Maybe this isn't so bad. I'll do it a little while and just keep doing it. I am still 25 years later. On the weekends, Jones joined friends of rock climbing adventures in Arkansas and floating Ozark streams. And as young men are wont to do, Jones and his buddies frequent local clubs in the evenings, especially those featuring live music. By this time, Jones had developed a taste for the music of recording artists who were singers and songwriters like Bob Dylan, John Prine, the Beatles, John Denver, and many others. Recently, Jones had incorporated several Taylor Swift songs into his repertoire and was still learning songs by Chappelle, who, although they shared Willard roots, Jones had never met. He liked the songwriting, and he liked the artists for what they stood for. He also followed local musicians. The family band Big Smith was his big favorite, featuring local musician Jody, I'm going to butcher this one, Bailu, and his brother Mark, and his 3 cousins. Jim Staley, literally a lifelong pal from infancy through college and beyond, remembers a significant night at the former Outland nightclub in downtown Springfield in 2001. Mark Bailu was playing a solo show. They were giving Dallas a hard time, saying, why don't you go up there and sing one of Mark's songs? Dallas declined, of course. He didn't want to cause any kind of commotion, but he finally said, Dallas, do you want to come and sing a song? Dallas got up there and sang one, and sang it fantastically, Mark said, of course. Well, I guess you shouldn't let other people sing your songs if they're going to do it better than you. Staley adds to the conversation, my impression was that Dallas really enjoyed being up there on that stage, and that was a big part of him deciding, well, maybe I can really do this. Jones agreed. He began returning for open mic night opportunities to gain experience before audiences. At first, he only covered other songs, but a friend suggested he tried writing his own. So when I come back next week, I'd written a couple, he said. I don't remember what they were, but they got me started, and I haven't stopped. By the end of that summer, Jones had written enough songs to fill a compact disc. So, with assistance from Mark Bailu, he booked studio time to record his first album. The model I grew up on was write 10 songs, go into the studio, make a CD, sell the CD, and I'll be making money back and get a little extra, he explained. Now, nobody makes money off of recording music anymore, but it was just the thing to do back then. The date of his first day in the recording studio was September 11th, 2001. As that morning's news reports began arriving with word of terrorists crashing jetliners into the World Trade Center in New York City and the Pentagon in Washington, there was a debate over whether to continue with the recording session. But they decided to go ahead anyway because he wanted to make something beautiful in the world on a day that was so terrible. Jody Bailu says that the first album that Jones recorded with Mark Bailu is a household favorite. She loves to hear the song Bell sings that Jody now fronts a band that includes some members of Big Smith and is slyly named Little Jones. A running gag at some Little Jones gigs is the joke that Dallas is the band member. Meanwhile, Mark Bailu now performs with his wife Cindy Wolfe as the folk music duo The Creek Rocks. Over the years, Jones has recorded a total of 10 albums. CD sales are not a big thing anymore, but his music is downloadable from internet services and can be found on YouTube. However, to make appreciable income as a local musician, live gigs are the best bet for now. For the first few years, Jones treated music mostly as a hobby, booking only occasional gigs, many of which didn't pay. He also tried playing in bands for a while, but it was difficult to balance group practice schedules and far-ranging concert dates with his responsibilities at the farm. His credits teaming up with local virtuoso Molly Healy for convincing him to consider music as more than a hobby. The two had met in the early 2000s when Healy began lending her violin talents to Big Smith and Jones, occasionally opening up shows for the band. Healy recalls, I'd sit in for Dallas sometimes. I'd enjoyed that because he always had made such an honest sound, simplicity in the best possible way. I really admired Dallas because he does something that I can't do. He can sit down and carry an entire show with just him and his guitar. Through the 2010s until the COVID crisis crippled live music venues in the early 2020s, Healy spent Sunday evenings performing with Jones at the Springfield Brewing Company. The experience was an eye-opener for Jones. It was the first regular gig I've ever had, he explained. I started playing 1 or 2 other times a week, maybe 10 or so gigs a month. But after the pandemic hit, I did the math, and it became clear that what I've been making with music amounted to more than just nice extra hobby money. We'd come to rely on that money, and we were really going to continue to need it. I had to figure out how to get it back. Farming, at least in our situation, unfortunately couldn't be the sole source of our income. It was a scary time, he continues. We didn't know if places would ever start hiring again, but I decided that if they did, I was going to be more intentional. Up to that point, I'd rarely contact venues looking for work. I'd just wait for them to contact me. But I decided to start making the approach of, I'm going to reach out to 4, 5, 10 places to see if I can get dates on the calendar. He continues, that's when I really started kicking it into high gear. Well, I still can. That's another thing. As I've gotten older, I can feel the strain in my voice. Maybe I can't quite hit that note I used to. Maybe it takes me a little longer to recover from a gig than it used to. I'm terrible at taking care of my voice, but there are some tricks I've learned over the years, like not singing too hard or too loud. I see younger sisters who just belt it out with no microphone, but if I did that, I'd lose my voice in 30 seconds. Making hay while the sun shines, so to speak. Healy says Jones had helped her out, both as a friend and a fellow musician. When I decided to go out there and do the solo thing, Dallas continued, Dallas had already been doing it for a long time, and he had taught me those ropes. Which microphones to get, which mic stands to use, which amplifiers were best for solo artists. For my several first gigs, he let me borrow his gear and kind of set me up. He'd really been one of the biggest influences and helped me get my solo thing off the ground. Like other colleagues, Healy is amazed at Jones' output and original songs. When we do the Brewco gigs almost every week, he'd come in with a new song. We never wrote songs together, but we often were the first to hear each other's music. I just thought it was really cool. Another admiring musician, the Hillbenders, was Jimmy Ray, who also was an arts reporter and a host on public radio station KSMU. Like Jones, Ray is a product of Willard High School, but Dallas and I didn't hang out with each other back then because we were in different classes, Jimmy Ray puts. They did cross paths at Drury, and after graduation, they played together in a Beatles cover band for a while. Dallas is the salt of the earth, a true blue friend who'll help anyone with anything, anytime, says Ray. He's a prolific songwriter, a family man, a hard-working farmer, and a music professional. He's also a master trader. He regularly brings people and items together. When not on a tractor or on a stage, Mr. Jones focuses on family. Melanie and their sons are very supportive of his music, he emphasizes, but music doesn't play a big role around the house. He has a home office outfitted with an electronic keyboard and a couple guitars, including a treasured Takamine that he acquired in Isekai, Japan in 2023, when he represented Springfield in the Sister Cities Cultural Exchange Program. But I don't practice much at home because I play so often, he says. That's an upright, standard piano in the living room. My younger son, Noah, came to us about 2 years ago and said, I want to take piano lessons. And I was like, okay, whoa. But I'm still waiting for that spark. He can play, Jones continues, but he doesn't practice as much as he probably should. I know how it is. I learned to play just as a vehicle to accompany myself so I could sing. But he can sit down and play some stuff that I have to say, wow, I didn't know you could play that, Jones continued. Jones says that both of his sons have great singing voices, whether they realize it or not, but they won't be musicians. I hope they'll appreciate music, he says, and I hope they find some inspiration from somewhere or somebody, but it's probably not going to be from me. Jones also started introducing the boys to farm life. He turns older son Grant loose on the tractor every once in a while. However, for Jones, farming and music have worked well together because he can usually be flexible with farming. The flexibility is just why he can book 25 gigs a month. There are times a year where he can work 80 hours a week and still get off at 7 or 8 and go play a gig. It's hard for Jones sometimes, but it's just what he's got to do. It's what he wants to do. For another 10 years, he hopes. And if that plan pans out, it'll probably lead to more stories like the one Brandon Moore enjoyed telling recently. That the other night, Dallas and him were setting up for a gig, and they had a little time to sit and visit before playing. They asked each other how their day had been, how he almost got killed by a cow. Most of us aren't likely to be killed by our jobs, but Dallas is one of a kind. We thank Mr. Mike O'Brien for his report.
You may have heard by now that 2025 is the year that we lost our cents. The penny is no longer in production, and this article is by Paul Kincaid. It's submitted on January 3 in the Springfield Daily Citizen. Title, Opinion, R.I.P. to the penny at the age of 232. The penny was first produced in the U.S. Mint in Philadelphia in March 1793, and the last penny for circulation was produced November 12, 2025, at the same mint. After 232 years of service, I don't think the penny got a proper send-off. This is my tribute to the penny, which includes a memorable family experience with a penny playing a key role. In 1793, a penny meant something. A penny produced in 1793 would have the purchasing power today of $32.72. Times change. There are logical reasons for stopping production of the penny. The cost of producing a penny has increased significantly. As of 2024, it costs $3.69 to mint a 1-cent penny. The declining use of cash, from 31% consumer cash payments in 2016 to 14% in recent years, and reduced the necessity for low-denomination coins like the penny to make change. The U.S. Treasury Department and the Mint say the decision to halt production is part of a broader strategy to save taxpayers' money and streamline currency production. In case you were wondering, Abraham Lincoln was first put on the penny in 1909 to commemorate his 100th birthday. Lincoln's image replaced the Indian head, and Lincoln was the first person featured on a regular U.S. coin. While the penny's reverse side design changed through the years, Lincoln remained on the front from 1909 to 2025. If you have a jar of pennies, don't worry. Although the production of new pennies has ceased, existing pennies will remain legal tender. There are approximately 300 billion pennies already in circulation, and they can still be used for transactions. Finally, as pennies are phased out, businesses may begin rounding cash transactions to the nearest 5 cents, which could change how prices are displayed and how transactions are conducted. Better tell the nickel to watch its back. There was more to the penny's value. Pennies had an impact beyond their monetary worth. Placing a penny in your shoe, particularly the left one, is an old superstition for good luck. Who can forget putting a penny in the Cordovan penny loafers? Placing a penny above the front door frame is believed to bring financial blessings. A jar of pennies in the kitchen is considered good luck and prosperity for the home. In ancient times, people believed water sources had special powers. That explains tossing a penny into a fountain or wishing well to make your wish come true, or throwing a penny overboard while traveling on a boat to ensure safe voyage. Superstitions also suggest picking up a found penny for good luck, with some believing it should be heads up, while others consider any penny found to be a blessing. If my daughter finds a penny with tails up, she will turn it over and leave it for someone to find heads up for good luck. We might have some explaining to do. There are several famous sayings that reference the penny. We need to be prepared to explain to future generations why we still use them and their meaning. A penny saved is a penny earned suggests that saving even a small amount of money is a form of earning. While often attributed to Benjamin Franklin, variations of the phrase appeared in his writings. Historians say the exact wording likely came later. Penny wise and pound foolish is a proverb that means someone is careful with small amounts of money, but careless with larger amounts. Find a penny, pick it up, and all the day you'll have good luck is a rhyme that suggests finding a penny brings good fortune for the rest of the day. In for a penny, in for a pound suggests that once you've taken the first step in doing something, you should be prepared to go all the way, regardless of the challenges or additional requirements that may arise. Back when every penny counted. When I think about the penny, one particular story immediately comes to mind. My dad lived to be 84. Late in his life, he told my brothers and me stories about his childhood, which we had not heard before, many of them very personal. My dad's situation was a familiar one. His family was extremely poor, but he didn't realize it as a child. They were excited to have indoor plumbing. They were glad to play baseball with discarded baseballs wrapped in black electrical tape from his electrician father and broken bats held together with nails. They ate potatoes, onions, and other vegetables from the garden, which were better than the groceries they couldn't afford to buy, along with staples of fried eggs, pancakes, and oatmeal. Uncles, aunts, and cousins lived with my dad's family. More than one family member lost a job in the 1930s and early 40s. More than one car was repossessed, and none of this was atypical for Oklahoma coming out of the Depression. Back then, a penny had more value, worth 23 cents today. With a penny, you could buy small items like a single piece of candy, a pencil, a small bag of nuts, or a newspaper, as well as cover short distances in public transport, such as a bus ride. Many of my dad's friends also struggled financially, so poverty seemed normal to him. My dad didn't truly realize how poor his family was. That is, until his grade school teacher asked the children in the class to bring money to assist a poor family living in the neighborhood so they could put food on the table and cover other basic living expenses. His dad proudly presented a penny. My dad proudly presented a penny to the teacher to help the cause. The teacher did not say a word, but tears began rolling down her cheek. It was much later that my dad learned that she was crying because the poor family they were trying to help was his. The experience helped lead to one of my dad's favorite sayings, "Money is never an issue as long as you have some of it. Enough for me, your turn, a penny for your thoughts." A common statement online today is, "I'm not crying, you're crying." This article was submitted by Paul Kincaid to the Daily Citizen on January 3rd. Rest in peace to the penny at age of 232.
Hi there. We're going to go ahead and take a brief segment to talk about these articles from IGN and talk about what's happening this year in the video game scene. January is set to release Animal Crossing New Horizons for them to get a new release on the Switch 2. On the 15th as well, the Legends of Heroes Trails Beyond the Horizon, which is the 17th installment in the Legends of Heroes series, is destined to come out as well. On the 22nd of January, we're going to be seeing the Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade come to the Nintendo Switch 2 and the Xbox Series, as well as Xbox and on PC. This includes the base game and all the visual technical improvements that we'll get that are ported over to the PS5. A whole story that follows Yuffie and the latest release that will add a streamlined mode that maxes out your party's stats and has all attacks do 9,999 damage, so you can just blow through the story. On the 26th, High Guard is going to drop. It's a new PvP raid game from a bunch of ex-Respawn devs who worked on Titanfall and Apex Legends. And while you could see some similar DNA, it's clearly going a different direction. Instead of a bunch of wall-running dudes and Neo Blomkamp mechs, it's going to be more fantasy flair. So if you ever wanted to bear arms while riding a bear, go crazy. That's free to play on PC, PS5, and the Xbox Series X. Finally, we're going to round out the January ones with, on the 28th, releases the 7 Deadly Sins Origin, an open-world RPG based on the hit anime series for the PS5, PC, and mobile. And on the 30th, there's going to be Code Vein 2, the sequel to Bandai Namco's 2019 vampire anime Souls-like, which is on PS5, Xbox Series, and PC. February is going to be releasing Dragon Quest VII Reimagined, hitting for all the big consoles, PS5, Xbox, and both Switches. Originally released stateside with the PlayStation 1 in 2001, and then for the 3DS 15 years later, it's a full modern overhaul of a JRPG that is known to be infamously beefy. Don't be surprised if you sink 100 hours into this one for the main quest. If you'd rather just make a bunch of colorful characters hit each other, My Hero Academia All's Justice is a 3v3 arena fighter featuring several dozen characters from the beloved anime series. On the 6th of February, Nioh 3, the third installment of Team Ninja's tough Souls-like series, is going to have its first true sequel, as Nioh 2 took place before the events of the first game, so technically a prequel. February 11th is releasing a new action game called Romeo is a Dead Man, from the fine folks at Grasshopper Manufacturer, who gives us a cult classic as Killer 7 and No More Heroes. This latest one looks to be as stylish and absurd and over-the-top as we come to expect. On the 12th, Yakuza Kiwami 3 and Dark Ties hit everything but Xbox. Yakuza 3 was originally released for the PlayStation 3 back in 2009, and though it was included with the remaster collection in 2019, that version didn't get many major graphical or gameplay updates. Kiwami 3, on the other hand, is a full modern overhaul, so this will play great as it looks. Still that day on Switch 2, a Mario Tennis Fever will be released, a casual, fun sports game from Nintendo. It's a very serious medical condition that can be deadly if not treated. If you develop symptoms of Mario Tennis Fever while playing, to consult Dr. Mario. On the 13th, we're getting a sequel to High on Life, the follow-up to the excellent 2022 first-person Metroidvania. As the first game, it's High on Knife DLC, and now this, I've got to give the team at Squanch Games credit for shipping 2.5 Metroid Prime-likes in half the time. February 13th releases Reanimal, a two-player co-op horror game from Tarso Studios, the original developers of Little Nightmares. On February 20th, Wise X Proud Nordics, the latest in a Japanese RPG, is rooted in Scandinavian folklore, and it's actually an enhanced re-release of 2033's Wise X Nordics, but with added abilities, bosses, levels, and it's coming to PlayStation 5, PC, and Switch. On the 24th, Tides of Tomorrow hit all consoles, which will be a vibrant post-apocalyptic ocean world that's riddled with microplastics, where the choices made by other players in the game will affect how the narrative and your choices fold out. February 27th, Resident Evil Requiem, the 9th in the series, will come out. On March 15th, Pokemon Pokopia comes to Switch 2, which sort of looks like Animal Crossing, except you play as a Ditto who's masquerading as a human being, something that will never not be unsettling. Hitting PC, Xbox, and PC on March 12th, we get John Carpenter's Toxic Commando, a post-apocalyptic co-op FPS that's developed by a World War Z team, with some input from the legendary horror filmmaker turned grouchy hardcore gamer. As it looks as though it will sit well with anyone wishing for a Left 4 Dead franchise to not be abandoned, it's coming to Xbox, PC, and PC. On the same day, Solasta 2, the follow-up to the very well-received 2021 tactical RPG, will click with anybody who's had their fill with Baldur's Gate and needs some time before Divinity comes out. And lastly, on March 12th, Fatal Frame 2 Crimson Butterfly Remake hits all the newer consoles, and that's a modern do-over of the 2003 survival horror game. That's sort of like Pokemon Snap, but with scary ghosts instead. I'd like to take this moment to bring up, some of us might not be able to play games with such visual graphics and stunning visuals as we have. So I'd like to bring up the first, or one of its first, blind available games called The Veil: Shadow of the Crown. It gives you a chance to close your eyes and become a warrior. You can feel the enemy's rasping breath, a foot shifts on swampy ground, the crack of steel on wooden shields. The Veil: Shadow of the Crown is an audio-based action-adventure that sets out to breathe new life into medieval combat and fantasy narrative. Instead of seeing beautiful colors on the screen, all a player needs to do is put their headphones on, and it's completely audio-based. Directional in the headphones, and you'll be able to place yourself in the worn leather boots of a blind adventurer. You get 5 hours of gameplay and specialized 3D audio that provides incredibly immersive game experience for those who want a different experience. It's got RPG elements where you get to choose your equipment, pick your play style, and have different magical abilities and companions in quest. But as the story goes, As your elder brother takes his place on the throne, you are made warden of a small castle on the outskirts of the kingdom. Blind from birth and sheltered for much of your childhood, you welcome your exile as a chance for a little adventure. En route to the castle, your convoy is attacked by a huge invading army. You find yourself alone in hostile lands where you must scrape together supplies and seek out allies in hopes of surviving the long and dangerous journey home. The path home follows a dark and winding valley known simply as the Vale. It shrouds the land's darkest secrets and includes startling truths about your family's dark past. Feel free to check it out on Steam, and right now it's 50% off for only $9.99. Here.
The other half of the story about the transition of SBJ ownership and leadership, we have from the SBJ, and it was submitted by Mike Cullinan on January the 2nd. After 2 years as Springfield Business Journal's publisher, Marty Goodnight on January 2nd officially became the third owner of the publication in its 46-year history. The ownership change completes a 2-year transition between Goodnight and former SBJ owner Jennifer Jackson. Plans for the business sale were first announced in December of 2023. Jackson became owner in 2016 following the retirement of her mother and SBJ founder Diane Elizabeth Osis. Goodnight, who initially worked for SBJ from June 2016 to June 2020, serving first as Chief Revenue Officer and later as Associate Publisher, returned to the business in 2024 after 3 years as Director of Marketing at Classy Llama Studios, LLC, an e-commerce marketing, branding, and consulting firm. Goodnight declined to disclose financial terms of the agreement, but he formed Lucky 7 Media, LLC, said he formed Lucky 7 Media LLC with his wife Shalina to buy the company assets from Jackson. The LLC does business as SBJ Media, he said. It's a unique situation because I had a lot of background with SBJ and obviously working with Jennifer and having a strong relationship there, he said. The 2-year window was really a good opportunity for us to slow down the sale process and really integrate the team. The 2-year runway allowed us to really focus on a lot of internal opportunities to get SBJ positioned for success in 2026. Beyond his time at SBJ, Goodnight has accrued over 25 years of media sales and management experience at publications such as Springfield News-Leader and the Kansas City Star. While he worked for much larger news media companies, Goodnight said being owner of SBJ is a different experience than anything thus far in his career. Even though it's nowhere near the size of those organizations that I've worked for, the responsibility is so much greater, he said. At the end of December, SBJ's staff size is 14, although Goodnight says that number is expected to increase to as many as 16 in January. He declined to disclose company revenue. Impact awareness. Goodnight said he recalls first coming to SBJ in 2016 and reading the results of a survey of around 700 readers who spoke of the importance of the publication to them. That planted the seeds years later to pursue purchasing SBJ from Jackson. By 2022, the two began conversations in earnest about a purchase agreement. It was unbelievable the impact SBJ has on the business community, Goodnight said about the reader survey responses. Through that time frame, I just fell back in love with media and what our mission is and what we can do. The opportunity to own it, continued to work with the team and build upon its purpose is always what is most exciting to me, he added. Matt Morrow, president of the Springfield Area Chamber of Commerce, said it's notable that SBJ ownership will remain local. I think the best journalism is local journalism of all kinds, especially from an unapologetic business perspective. And I don't know how you could do an effective job of covering local business in a local business environment without having that local ownership. So I just was very pleased to see that obviously continues as a strong legacy of local business journalism here in Springfield. Morrow said he and the Chamber have worked closely with both Jackson and Goodnight over the years. I have such tremendous respect for Jennifer and her leadership, and she's been a great partner in our community for all those years and has led the organization extremely well. I was thrilled to see that when she came to a point where she was ready to move on from that she found a partner like Marty to be able to take over. Marty has a deep understanding of our community and our culture and the important role that business plays in helping us all to thrive here. Goodnight credits Jackson for continuing her mother's legacy of publications she founded in 1980. She's been a steward of SBJ and the brand and keeping things going, he said of Jackson. In retrospect, you look at some of the recessions we've been through and COVID and things like that, Jennifer kept things strong and continued to lead us through some challenging times, but also some really good times. Goodnight says he's very happy that the quality of news being generated by the editorial staff, noting SBJ for 3 consecutive years has received the Gold Cup from Missouri Press Association as the top weekly newspaper in awards received for its size category. He wants SBJ to continue providing the market needs for business news and information, while also leveling up across every experience the publication can provide, such as its e-news products, website, and events. There's so much more value that we can add to the business community, he said. My feeling is always grateful and honored to be able to work on that team that keeps doing this, and also very excited and bullish and optimistic about our future. Looking ahead, SBJ isn't the only new ownership venture for Goodnight, as he and his wife have also acquired the Daily Events, an independent sister company. The deal, which included ownership of the news publication through Daily Events Media, LLC, closed on December 31st. He declined to disclose his investment in the publication, which has been owned since 1995 by Springfield entrepreneur Jeff Schrog, who was elected as the city's mayor in 2024. Noting he worked extensively with legal ads during his time as the Springfield News-Leader, Goodnight said he was familiar with the Daily Events. He said both it and SBJ serve a niche in business-to-business audience. It wasn't my original plan to acquire Daily Events, but this opportunity surfaced, and it made a lot of sense, and it's healthy business. He said, I believe there will be some opportunities in the future to continually look at how we serve the Daily Events audience and how we serve the SBJ audience. I think there could be some innovations potentially in how we package that legal data for our readers. He's still examining ways to find efficiencies with the workforce, but said it will be strictly run as a separate company. No changes in rates, deadlines, staffing, anything like that, he said. We're mainly getting our feet under us so we can continually serve the market well and then look for strategic opportunities. No immediate plans to relocate the Daily Events' current location from 310 West Walnut are in place, but Goodnight says he doesn't plan to hold on to the property long term. He intends to eventually have the Daily Events housed in the same building with SBJ once the latter publication has a new permanent home. In November, SBJ exited its 4,000 square foot space in a building Jackson owns at 21 601 West Chesterfield Boulevard, Suite B105 in Chesterfield Village. Staff are currently working remotely while this new location is secured. My goal is to invest in people and technology and be conservative on our real estate expenses. And so, by moving out of Chesterfield in that situation, SBJ Media saved a lot of money, he said, declining to elaborate. We do have solutions and proposals active right now. I'm hoping to hear back within days for us to settle into our new home, but that's not finalized yet, so I don't have a lot of other details. Aside from investing in news resources and expanding coverage across all of its platforms, Goodnight said he wanted to continually improve the experience for subscribers, whether that's buying or renewing subscription and password retention. Advertisers are going to see that we are more committed than ever to business marketing solutions and understanding how we help our business partners succeed versus a transactional advertising relationship, he said. It's a much more idea-based, consultative, holistic approach to how we help our customers than transactional ads. For Morrow, he's hopeful SBJ will retain its commitment to bring strong, healthy journalism from a business perspective, no matter who is its owner. There isn't much great journalism in our world as there once was, and even less that carries a deep understanding of the important role that business plays in all of our success and all of our ability to thrive, he said. I think that's something that a bit deep, rich part of legacy of Springfield Business Journal, and just knowing Marty and having had a chance to visit with him in these past several months leading up to this official transaction. I believe he's deeply committed to that as well.
All right, thank you. Now we're going to go ahead and take a brief read from KY3 from Bolivar, Missouri, where one rural farm business assistance organization has received a grant to continue building a local food supply after funding cuts. New Growth was awarded a $2 million grant from the Patterson Family Foundation to fill in gaps in rural entrepreneurship. One of the New Growth projects, the Heartland Regional Business Center, was funded by the USDA grant. That grant was terminated, but through its work, New Growth recognized the need and demand for a program to help middle-market farmers build local food supply chains. The Patterson Grant is helping revive the program, and in the Heartland Food Business Coalition in Missouri and Kansas, it hopes to provide technological assistance to food and farm businesses and specialty crop growers. Local food is not actually as local as we think in one small town, said Sheridan Garman-Neiman, the CEO of New Growth. It's much bigger, right? So if you think about across the region, strengthening the local food system ensures that everyone who wants access to healthy food can get it. It ensures that we should have any sort of cataclysmic events happen, that we have that supply chain that has been created so local food can be delivered. And so when global supply chains are distributed, we all can still eat. $1 million of the grant money will be distributed by New Growth to other food and farming organizations through its own grant program, with the aim of supporting them in building their capacity to bring local food products to market. A lot of the assistance in this country that goes to farmers and subsidies and things like that, said Garman-Neiman, that goes to commodity crop growers who participate in global markets. What we're talking about are the smaller farms that grow specialty crops. Those are the businesses that we need to support because remember during COVID-19 all the store shelves were empty? We don't want that to happen anymore. It'll also fund market development resources and business counseling to teach those who have no idea how to bring food to their market just how to become a part of the local supply chain. In small rural communities, Garman-Neiman continues, we often lack the infrastructure and workforce in place to attract those bigger firms or even to retain the smaller manufacturing firms that we already have. So in order to make our place an attractive place for those people to come and live, we need a diverse economy. And we need a diverse entrepreneur economy because those Main Street businesses are what makes the place so special. With the grant money, New Growth hopes to help 500 small businesses.
The Blind Community Thrift Store is a spacious 17,000 square foot thrift store located in Springfield, Missouri. It holds the distinction of being the first retail store worldwide to incorporate Navalens technology, which significantly enhances accessibility for the blind, visually impaired, and non-English speaking individuals. This innovative system enables customers to navigate and shop with minimal assistance, fostering independence and confidence. The store operates as a nonprofit organization dedicated to generating funds that support the provision of adaptive technology and training for the blind and visually impaired community, often at little to no cost. Visitors can learn more about the organization and access its services by visiting the store in person at 2713 North Kansas Expressway, Springfield, Missouri, or by exploring the website at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. The website offers comprehensive information about the store's mission, services, and opportunities for community involvement, as well as details about the free store available to residents in the Springfield area.
Now to do a little bit about sports. This is from the KY3 News as well. Kobe Williams, 32 points, led Missouri State over New Mexico State 89-82 on Sunday. Williams shot 8 out of 11 from the field, including 7 for 9 from three-point range, and went 9 for 10 from the line for the Bears, 9-5, 3-0 Conference USA. Keith Pallock III added 16 points while going 4 of 9 and 8 of 12 from the three-throw line. Trey Williams Jr. shot 3 of 8 from the field, including 2 for 5 from the three-point line, and went 5 for 5 from the line to finish with 13 points. The Aggies, 8-5 and 1-2, were led in scoring by Julius Mims, who finished with 22 points and 14 rebounds. Jamel Jones added 18 points and 4 steals for New Mexico State. Elijah Elliott had 16 points. Missouri State took the lead for good with 9 minutes and 50 seconds remaining in the second half of a jump shot from Pallock to make a 68-67 game. And, continuing forward with the Chiefs, the Kansas City Chiefs faced the Las Vegas Raiders on Sunday. The Chiefs have struggled recently, losing 5 straight games and securing their first losing season in 2012. Quarterback Chris, I'm going to butcher this one, Oladikan, aims for the better performance with better preparation time. The Raiders, dealing with a significant losing streak, might start either Kenny Pickett or Aiden O'Connell because of Geno Smith's ankle injury. Running back Ashton Genty is close to the 1,000-yard line season, but faces a tough Chief defense. Kansas City had 6-10 at Las Vegas' 2-14 on Sunday, 325. Quarterback Chris Oladikan was forced into the starting role 2 weeks ago in Tennessee when Gardner Minshew followed Patrick Mahomes by tearing ligaments in his knee. He had to prepare for his first NFL start on Christmas night on just 3 days' notice and wound up throwing for just 66 yards. Expect a better performance within 10 days to prepare for this one. And the quarterbacks Kenny Pickett and Aiden O'Connell, with Geno Smith dealing with a significant ankle injury, Coach Pete Carroll said he expected both to play. Each will have a chance to show that the Raiders should bring him back next season, or for one of the 31 clubs to take notice. The Raiders' RB Ashton Genty versus the Chiefs' defensive front. This hasn't been the kind of season Genty envisioned, but he is 112 yards from 1,000. He might have had trouble reaching the milestone against the Chiefs' defense that ranked 10 and allowing a 104.9 yards per game, but Kansas City has been giving up 409 yards, rushing and missed tackles. According to the Next Gen stats, Genty has gained 350 yards after breaking tackles, so he might have a chance. The Chiefs have won the past 3 meetings, 6 of 7 and 11 of 13. Kansas City has never lost in Las Vegas, and the Chiefs are 5-0 against the Raiders at Allegiant Stadium. And Kansas City defeated San Francisco in the Super Bowl 2 seasons ago. The Chiefs and Raiders have met in 3 playoff games, with Kansas City winning 2 of them.
This is from the Springfield Daily Citizen, submitted just 5 hours ago by Harrison Keegan. Suspect was indicted in the 2022 Springfield double homicide. A grand jury has indicted a suspect in the December 28, 2022 killings of 25-year-old Mackenzie Lashley Childers and 30-year-old Dundrea Woods in Springfield. Walter Antoine Moore, born in 1980, is charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder and several other felonies. Online court records indicate Moore was indicted by a grand jury in May of 2025, and the case was unsealed last week upon the service of a warrant. Moore is being held in the Petite County Jail on unrelated federal charges. Since the murder charges were filed via grand jury indictment, there is no publicly available probable cause statement that would detail how police believe the killings took place. The indictment provides only basic details that Moore is accused of fatally shooting 2 individuals in Greene County on December 28, 2022. The victims were not named in the indictment, but the Springfield Police Department has previously reported that Woods and Lashley Childers were killed on that date in the 2200 block of North Link Avenue. A family member of Lashley Childers confirmed to the Springfield Daily Citizen the charges are related to this case. At the time of the double homicide, Springfield police stated that an infant child was found in the home with minor injuries following the killings. Moore is charged with endangering the welfare of a child for allegedly shooting firearms in the general direction of victim 3 while in close proximity to victim 3, and this offense resulted in physical injury to the child. Moore is also accused of domestic assault against a 4th victim in the same date as the double homicide. In December of 2024, the Daily Citizen covered a vigil to mark the 2-year anniversary of the killings. Family members described Lashley Childers as a loving young mother who was also a talented singer. Woods' brother described him as an easygoing man who enjoyed drawing and enjoyed baseball. Her loved ones, as we pray now for the wheels of justice are beginning to turn, that justice will truly and fully finally be served, Mackenzie's mother, Jeree Lashley Childers, said in a message to the Daily Citizen. We would like to thank the detectives, Sergeant Scott Hill and Assistant Chief Prosecuting Attorney Josh Harrell, for their continued efforts in this case. This was submitted by Harrison Keegan to the Springfield Daily Citizen.
We'd like to take a moment to focus on the positives that back in 1969, Marilyn Manson was born. Marilyn Manson was if you're unaware, is the American singer and songwriter, actor, and director. We also have Puerto Rico's birthday today. He was born in 1932. Zulfikar Ali Bhutto, born in 1928. Conrad Adenauer in 1876. And Stephen Descartes in 1779. We've lost a few people on this day back in 1933, which was Calvin Coolidge. We lost Max Born on 1970. And we lost Pierre Boulez in 2016. He was the French pianist, composer, and conductor. Back in 1933, the construction of the Golden Gate Bridge began on this day. And back in 2005, the solar system's largest known dwarf planet was discovered, turning Pluto officially into a dwarf planet. In 1993, the MV Brayer runs aground on the coast of the Shetland Islands. And in the 1968, that's when the Prague Spring began. Back to you.
And our daily touch base with Steve Polkin. The answer man, looks like a construction site on West Chestnut Expressway. What's going on? Steve, what's being constructed on the north side of West Chestnut Expressway right before heading west? It intersects with West College, U.S. Route 66. Your newsroom colleague, Jack McGee of Springfield. Well, nothing is going to be built there, Jack. It's vacant city-owned property used for stormwater detention, and it will be modified with the goal of improving water quality in the Wilson Creek's watershed. This according to a website created by the city's Department of Public Information. Kristen Millam, the city's communication coordinator, says It's just vacant green space that is city-owned. It regularly has quite a bit of water in it. This was identified as an area that needs drainage improvements that could make an impact on water quality, Millam said. It's also hopefully going to be an amenity because it will also beautify the area and make it more similar to some of the other green infrastructures around town. Like a park? It's definitely not a park, but it's going to be a nice green space for the community to view and enjoy. The work should be finished by the fall. Work will include expand the stormwater detention basement, slow the rate of stormwater draining to provide stormwater treatment through natural processes, add a flow diversion structure to direct stormwater to a rain garden. A rain garden is a shallow landscape depression planted with native plants that collect and filter stormwater runoff, allowing the water to slowly soak into the ground. Plant native plants and trees, install a device to capture trash from stormwater runoff, preserve trees, and assess existing stormwater channels. The work is expected to be complete in the fall. Much of the cost is being covered by a $400,000 grant from the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency. Pollution can harm aquatic life, such as crayfish. According to the city, industrial and commercial land uses and roads upstream of this area are potential sources of common stormwater pollutants, including heavy metals such as zinc, sediment, nutrients, and trash. The north branch of Wilson's Creek is considered impaired due to levels of zinc found in the stream bottom sediment that can be harmful to aquatic life, such as crayfish and other small organisms that are the base of the food chain. The project will help improve the water quality in Wilson Creek and James River. The city's Environmental Services and Public Works Department are managing the project. This from the Answer Man column, number 156, Steve Polkin.
All right, and breaking news from Ozarks First. A 20-year-old man from Allen, Texas, has died recently after he crashed his car while fleeing from law enforcement on I-44 just a couple days ago. According to the Missouri State Highway Patrol, the crash report, a 2017 Hyundai Sonata was fleeing officers on westbound and I-44 at mile marker 176. Around 12:17 in the morning, Saturday. During the pursuit, the Sonata traveled off the left side of I-44, struck a cable barrier, went airborne, and crashed into a bridge support pillar. The crash report says the driver of the Sonata was pronounced dead on the scene. This is the first fatal crash in MSHP, Missouri State Highway Patrol, Troop 1 in 2026. The Missouri State Highway Patrol was assisted by the Rolla Police Department, Phelps County Sheriff's Office, Pulaski County Sheriff's Office, and the Doolittle Fire Protection District. As well, in Berry County, another man from Miller, Missouri was pronounced dead after an SUV crash in Berry County on Sunday, January 4th. The crash report says the accident happened approximately 10 miles away from south of Aurora on State Highway 39 around 2:50 in the afternoon. In the crash, a 2003 Jeep Grand Cherokee went off the right side of the road and hit a tree. The driver, which was a 62-year-old man, was pronounced dead at the scene by the Berry County coroner. The next of kin has been notified of his passing.
Having read Steve Polkin's article about the location, the city-owned lot, we proceed to here's how Springfield hopes to turn over city-owned vacant lots and new projects there. There are plenty of vacant lots around this Queen City ready to be returned to use and add value to local neighborhoods. Some of these are owned by the city and could be subject to a new housing infill program the city's planning and development staff have put together. Springfield, like most of the country, is in need of additional quality housing stock. The city has taken several approaches to address this need: a revamp of the development code to encourage building of different housing types, the subsequent citywide remapping to align with the new code, and the creation of a pilot rental inspection program. In the latest effort, city staff have proposed utilizing city-owned vacant property to develop missing middle housing within center city neighborhoods. Missing middle refers to housing that falls in between single-family homes and large multi-level apartments. In this context, the city would focus more on projects on the smaller end of the scale. The focus is on center city neighborhoods because these are older and are typically composed of gridded block patterns and connect sidewalk networks that support higher housing densities. How many properties could be included? Steve Childers, the city's director of planning and development, shared details of a plan during a presentation to Springfield City Council on Tuesday, December 2nd. Childers said the city currently owns 732 lots, though only 145 are vacant. The city acquires property for a number of reasons, including for city facilities, right-of-ways, or infrastructure, and capital improvement projects. Other properties are acquired through the dangerous and nuisance building process when code violations are not abated by the property owners. Under the current process, which could take years, the city can eventually sell properties acquired through the nuisance process to recoup some of the costs incurred. Childers said that between 2013 and 2020, 97 were sold through this current process and generated more than $1.2 million in property sales. Yet the process of addressing nuisance properties and maintaining lots for acquisition is far more costly, with the city spending more than $3.2 million in the past 4 years compared to the sales which brought in over 7 years. Childers shared that the average lien on properties is roughly $20,000. Through the current sales process, there is no guarantee that the lot will be developed or will be used for a certain type of project. We need to move them, we need to get them out the door and turn them into something that is profitable and improves our neighborhoods, he said. That's why Childers and the planning staff are proposing a change and a new program dubbed the Strategic Housing Missing Middle Infill Program. He said the program proposed is modeled after one in place in Chicago. Through the program, the city would narrow down a list of specific lots that are shovel-ready and determine the type of housing development that should be appropriate on that property, such as duplexes, tiny homes, accessory dwelling units, cottage courts, and the like. Then it would seek requests for applications from those interested in developing whatever project the city determines is best. The key to the program is that we are going to do all the footwork. Childers said, I think the speed to market is the key to be able to get these things permitted. And so that's also something that we'll be able to take the guesswork out of. Of the 49 city-owned vacant lots within center city neighborhoods that could potentially host missing middle housing, Childers says a pre-development review of 24 lots showed 10 of these are already shovel-ready. Several lots have additional restrictions, many of which include missing sewer connections. He said how the amount of investment needed in lots to get to the point of being ready for development is another factor council could consider for the future. Grant Beach and Heart of the West Side neighborhoods include most of the vacant lots with potential for housing. Earlier this year, the city hosted several meetings with center city neighborhoods to educate residents about what missing middle housing is and to help identify lots within neighborhoods that they would be supportive of housing developments amid the remapping process. Through these meetings, more than 4,500 lots were identified, according to the previous News-Leader reporting. This new program would also create a new, speedier process for turning over city-owned properties, which eventually could be taken over by the land bank. after building development services and the city's law development complete all their current procedures, the planning and economic vitality departments would evaluate lots and solicit requests for applications before sending proposals to an infill program committee to score and award applications. Beyond utility connections, lots would be reviewed based on the type of street they are on, type of zoning, assess access to amenities, and assessed access to transit. Childers also said he thinks there are additional opportunities to get involved even earlier in the process, while BDS is trying to abate nuisance properties with liens that owners could be wanting to get rid of anyway, if a funding source is identified. He noted that there is significant opportunity to increase the inventory of lots that could be turned over through the program, as hundreds of properties are currently involved in the abatement process. Concerns about rental versus owner-occupied housing. Much of Tuesday's council discussion honed in on whether these city-supported plans would be rentals or owner-occupied residences. While a majority of Springfield residents are renters, most of those living in single-family homes own their homes, Childers said. I don't know that you have a home ownership crisis on your hands, he said to the council. You have an inventory crisis, a variety density crisis. You don't have enough places for people to live at different socioeconomic statuses, but it's not an ownership issue. Councilman Derek Lee expressed concern about putting rental housing in the middle of traditionally single-owned neighborhoods. Councilman Bruce Adibiazdi noted that a person may develop one of the properties, live in one unit, and rent the remainder out for an income. And Councilman Brandon Jensen also highlighted that multiple units do not have to always mean they are rentals. Childers said the program would certainly encourage those who may be interested in developing and then living on properties themselves, and noted that condo process could be reviewed to consider selling units individually for ownership, though that would require further evaluation. The process of buying full property and developing it requires additional capital that many folks do not have access to, Jensen acknowledged, with Childers pointing out to council as the body to consider any gap financing or incentive options that could assist that. The examples provided at Tuesday's presentation included a duplex with an accessory dwelling unit, duplex on a corner lot, a cottage court. However, there will also be lots that simply cannot accommodate anything beyond a single family home, Childers said. Regardless of the type of project, he said the application and shovel-ready plans will include design guidelines to ensure the look of buildings match the neighborhood character. Any final selection of applicants could also include a clawback clause to require development of housing within a certain timeline. While the program could draw interest from both private sector and nonprofit organizations, Childers said an initial survey of local nonprofits showed many organizations did not feel they had the capacity to take on the management of anything beyond a duplex. Land bank hang-up creates uncertainty. There is not yet a timeline of when this program would roll out, Childers told the News-Leader. City was set to receive a grant related to the land bank legislation that went into effect last year, allowing municipalities to establish a land bank to return vacant, abandoned, or foreclosed on properties to private ownership or for public use. However, the land bank law was a part of the larger bill that was recently returned to court due to challenges to the law pertaining to backyard chickens. This has put the creation of a land bank locally on pause, and the grant along with it. Childers said with the bill being refiled independently from the backyard chicken legislation, there is a hope that the land bank could be created and the grant will become available August 2026 if state leaders back it. If the land bank portion can be decoupled from the original bill, overturned in courts, that could come sooner. Whenever the program comes to fruition, Childers emphasized it would both support the creation of additional diverse housing stock as well as providing reinvestment into neighborhoods. All council members who spoke on the topic were supportive of this solution to currently empty lots. A vacant lot can't bring in a dime of revenue to the city, Councilman Abe McGull said, so we really need people to build on their properties. This into the Springfield News-Leader, and it was submitted by Marta Maize on December the 3rd.
Are you a fan of the theater? Are you ready for something a bit more exciting in your life? Well, the Springfield Little Theater announces auditions for Sweeney Todd, the Demon Barber of Fleet Street, for ages 16 plus. The dark, thrilling, and musically unmatched Sweeney Todd is one of the most electrifying works in modern musical theater, and Springfield Little Theater is bringing it to life this March. Set in the shadows of Victorian England, this chilling masterpiece weaves a story of injustice, vengeance, and unexpected relish, sometimes literally, featuring one of Stephen Sondheim's most powerful and challenging scores. This production demands strong storytelling, fearless performers, and vocal excellence. Whether you're a seasoned artist ready to sink your teeth into a leading role, or an ensemble powerhouse eager to help build the eerie world of Fleet Street, this workshop and audition experience will prepare you for an unforgettable production. This production will be led by the dynamic team of Joni Garner DePrizio, director and choreographer, and Quentin Ellis, the music director, combining visionary storytelling and exceptional musical leadership. Join them today as they bring the haunting tale to life. Sign up today and be a part of the production that promises dramatic storytelling, musical mastery, and a thrilling theater experience. The auditions are going to be available today, January 5th, and tomorrow, January 6th, ending at around 7 p.m. And the auditions will be held at 311 East Walnut Street in Springfield, the Landers Theater on the 4th floor studio, located at the Walnut Place Apartments.
And at the beginning of the new year, we have the business recap for Springfield. We have some convention center woes, Plaza Tower saga, and other smaller articles. From a failed Springfield vote on a hotel tax that would have helped fund a new downtown convention center, to Springfield core businesses opening satellite locations in surrounding communities, 2025 proved to have an interesting mix of business news. Here are some of the biggest business stories of 2025, many of which will develop further throughout the new year. Convention center woes. Arguably the biggest Springfield business story that leads into 2026 is the proposed convention and event center in downtown Springfield. Voters rejected a 3% hotel tax increase in the November 4 election, which would have helped fund the $175 million project. In total, the center would encompass 250,000 square feet of gross floor area, including a lobby, concourse, service corridor, kitchen, storage, and other support spaces, according to a Hunden Partners report commissioned by Visit Springfield. The study also identifies the need for a 400-room connected hotel, estimated to cost an additional $209 million. The City Council has already allocated more than $30 million towards the event center, much of which is intended to provide the required local match for a $30 million state budget earmark, which is currently designated as restricted, but could be released by the governor, who has expressed support for the project. Springfield City Manager David Cameron has previously indicated that a hotel tax measure is still on the table, as the city considers how to fund the project and secure the state funding. If the city council wants to put another hotel tax measure before the voters in the April election, the deadline for certification is January 27th. Cameron will host a listening session January 6th on the proposed project at the Greene County Archives Election Center, located at 1125 North Boonville, from 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. Springfield Staples expands to surrounding communities. A number of Springfield businesses expanded in 2025 with a growing emphasis in setting up shop in surrounding communities like Nixa, Republic, and Ozark. St. George's Donuts will open a Nixa shop in spring of 2026, according to the previous Daily Citizen reporting. While it's not the donut shop's first satellite location, St. George opened a store in Ozark in 2018. The move confirms the Springfield staple business is in growth mode. 7 Brew is coming for the Springfield suburbs. The city recently opened coffee shops in Republic and Ozark, with a future location in Nixa in the works. Over the past few years, the Fayetteville-based coffee company has rapidly grown in the southwest Missouri market across the country. The community jumping trend also emerged last year in some pizza stores. Papo's Pizzeria and Pub is set to open its first Nixa location with the aim to grow dramatically in the coming years, according to the previous Daily Citizen reporting. The pizza chain wants to put a new store in Republic and 2 more in Springfield. The Big Slice will open its first restaurant outside of Springfield in early 2026. After multiple Springfield ventures, the company focused on Republic for a wave of growth, according to the previous Daily Citizen reporting. Springfield Brew has set up satellite locations in Willard and Rogersville in the past few years, with each with small scale production capabilities. The brewery owners were tied to a Nixa restaurant and bar concept that included a small-scale cidery, but plans fell through after some public pushback at a governmental meeting. It is clear that the brewery will continue this trend in coming years. Springfield's brew company's sister company, Thai Leche Da Distillery, opened a small, intimate tasting and bottle shop, aptly called The Snug, in downtown property in November. Historic Commercial Street on precipice of big change. In the beginning of 2026, Springfield Brew Company will open its soccer pub on historic Commercial Street, Mumbles 1888. It's the first time the downtown brewery business has planted itself on North Side's historic thoroughfare. Mumbles joins a growing list of businesses and restaurants that are sprouting up to call Commercial Street home. From clothing stores to pet supplies and other retail shops, something new is opening along the historic corridor nearly every month. Besides new store openings and expansions, properties on the street are changing hands, with new owners planning drastic rehabs. The Sankofa development, spearheaded by Springfield-based Vecino Group, held a groundbreaking ceremony at the site of the affordable housing complex on February 7, 2025. Sankofa, located at 411 West Commercial, is expected to reopen in 2026 and will feature 42 units with its total 43,000 square foot area. It is expected to be a boon for the historic street. Along with new store openings, there were some business closures in 2025. Queen City Soul Kitchen, located just off Commercial Street, closed its doors in December after a 5-year run. La Habana Vieja, a Cuban restaurant in the historic corridor, closed after a number of Cuban staff were threatened with deportation by the federal government. No beer is brewed in White River Brewery for another year, as the Commercial Street has sat closed since 2024. In September 2025, the United States took civil action against the brewery and current owner Jennifer Obert, formerly known as Jennifer Phelps. The government wants to nullify the transfer of the ownership of the business from Phelps to Obert. In its latest development in the ongoing saga of Phelps, who pleaded guilty in federal court 2023 to his role in nearly $14 million of wire fraud conspiracy related to COVID relief funds. As of early 2020, As of early September 2025, federal prosecutors say Phelps still owed $8.2 million in restitution. The government alleges the transfer of White River Brewery was done to evade federal debt collections. The lawsuit will play out in the federal courts in 2026. And Plaza Towers to see a huge revamp, or sees a huge revamp. That's been ongoing. The past year was turbulent for Plaza Towers, and the new owners of the iconic Springfield property have big plans for 2026. Plaza Towers was purchased by Trent Overhue for about $13.4 million in April of 2025 during a foreclosure sale on the steps of the Greene County Historic Courthouse. Marco Dennis, the former owner, has been in jail since August 2024, facing state charges of kidnapping, domestic assault, and tampering with physical evidence. A number of lawsuits have emerged from the foreclosure sale. The new owner and management company are trying to leave the negative narrative in the past and have recently revamped the property. In early 2026, 3 new food and beverage concepts will open in Plaza Towers. Springfield will say hello to a new comedy club, a fine dining restaurant, and on the main floor of the property, and a rooftop bar and patio. Major hospital race to bring better pediatric care to Springfield. For almost 2 years, elevating pediatric care in the Springfield region has been a focal point for the 2 major hospital systems, Mercy Springfield and Cox Health. After a joint pediatric venture failed to come to fruition, both hospital systems started a partnership with an outside healthcare company to lead new pediatric practices in Springfield. In June 2025, Cox Health with St. Louis Springfield Hospital finalized an agreement to build a pediatric hospital inside Cox Health Springfield facility and a new ground-up facility specialty care center. The pediatric care center is scheduled to open in 2027. In November 2025, Springfield's Mercy, Kansas City, announced it will build a dedicated $30 million pediatric outpatient facility on Mercy Springfield Community's South Springfield campus in Ozarks. The new facility will take up 2 stories, spanning 40,000 square feet at Mercy's South Springfield campus, located at 3050 East River Bluff Boulevard in Ozarks. The companies have set a tentative opening date of December 2026.
Alrighty. Just a quick shout out to some local stuff for you guys. The Akanose Chocolate Factory on 514 East Commercial Street is doing public tours. They'll be doing small tours of their factory to teach people how they make the chocolate, and you guys will get plenty of samples. The tours will be behind the scene to look into how they go from bean to chocolate bar. That's made by hand from rare cocoa beans that they source directly from farmers across the globe. Tours typically take about 45 minutes and include plenty of samples. The tickets cost $10 for adults and $8 for children, and all the proceeds will go to support the Chocolate University programs. They recommend that you reserve ahead of time because they can't promise any walk-ins with all the chocolate going on.
Continuing with the recap from 2025 businesses, development at Lake Springfield notches forward. Another area ripe for development at Lake Springfield is Lake Springfield after the decommissioning of the James River Power Station. A master plan for the region's redevelopment was released in 2023 and would include repurposing the power station as part of an entertainment district or adventure hub. In 2025, talks occurred around adding 600 plus acres to the Lake Springfield development plan. City officials and planners agreed the land package could be a key part of Springfield's future, and the plans are being developed to tie the land with Lake Springfield development possibilities. One family quietly amassed the 600 plus acre package in Southeast Springfield. Lake Springfield and Southeast Springfield will continue to be a focal point for development in the years ahead. This entire article of all these business updates was submitted by Ryan Collins, the Business and Economic Development reporter for the Springfield Daily Citizen. This is the wind-up of Springfield Business Recap for 2025.
All right. Just to let everyone know, the local Alamo Cinema will be previewing and premiering their new movie Iron Lung by Mark Fishbach. Iron Lung is based off the 2022 horror video game by David, I'm going to butcher this one, Szymanski. The stars are gone, the planets have disappeared, only individuals aboard space stations or starships were left to give the end a name, the Quiet Rapture. After decades of decay and crumbling infrastructure, the consolidation of iron has made a discovery on a barren moon designed AT5, an ocean of blood. Hoping to discover desperately needed resources, they immediately launch an expedition. A submarine is crafted, and a convict is welded inside. Due to the pressure and depth of the ocean, the forward viewpoint has been encased in metal. If successful, the convict will earn their freedom. If not, another will follow. This movie will show its 13th expedition. Mark Fishbach, as people might know from other names from his internet fame, is hoping to launch his first movie with this, and seats are already filling up fast, so if you want to go ahead and get your tickets now, it's best to get them sooner than later. You don't want to miss it.
We have a couple of short ones here from KY3 News. We had the Ozarks fire officials were urging caution during winter prescribed burn seasons. Seems like fires have no real season. Logan's Rogersville, Missouri. Now that the holidays are over, many are considering burning their Christmas trees or any other holiday trash. However, fire officials in Ozarks note that the winter's dried vegetation creates challenging conditions for prescribed burns, emphasizing the importance of weather monitoring before igniting any fires. The Logan Rogersville Fire Protection District reports they have not seen many brush fires or prescribed burns get out of hand in the new year, but officials stress this time of year requires extra caution. Assistant Chief Fire Chief Russ Lafferty consistently checking weather conditions is the key to avoiding emergency calls. Always have a plan ahead of time. Know what your conditions are doing at an annual level. Also know whether your weather and fuel conditions are doing what they are doing locally and daily. Those are big things. There's a lot of tools and different ways to actually perform the fire, but until those boxes are checked, do not light your torch. Riken says people new to burning and those needing advice should seek help from available resources. There are resources for that. You have contractors, you have PBAs, you have state and federal agencies that help with all of those things. Both Lafferty and Riken emphasize having ways to extinguish fires before starting and calling firefighters immediately to help if needed. For more resources on prescribed burning, contact your local fire department. Also, out of KY3, and this is based on national news, international news, but our local reaction to it. Springfield article from January 3rd. About 24 people gathered in Springfield Saturday afternoon to protest the recent U.S. strikes on Venezuela. Protesters gathered at the corner of Glenstone Avenue and Battlefield Road, denouncing Trump administration's actions for a costly blockade and continued daily strikes on suspected drug-carrying boats. Many were worried the administration can be repeating history. This is not a popular war, and this is just like Iraq, said Ryan Miner, Party for Socialism and Libertarian member. We could easily get bogged down in another resistance movement and be spending trillions on this instead of doing what we really need to do to make this planet livable for all people. The Associated Press reports that through the strikes, the U.S. captured Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro and his wife Celia Flores and took them out of the country to put Maduro on trial in the United States. This gathering, however, was at the corner of Glenstone Avenue and Battlefield Road on Saturday afternoon.
In other news, the Southern Bancorp closes out a legacy buyout and creates a $5 billion company. The Arkansas-based Southern Bancorp Incorporated closed on its buyout of Ozarks Heritage Financial Group and its subsidiary, Legacy Bank and Trust. Legacy Bank was a Springfield-based community development financial institution, the CDFI, worth about $1.9 billion. After the acquisition, the combined banking company will have an asset size nearly $5 billion, according to the company press release. By combining our unique purpose and people along the tools and talent of the legacy, our capacity for impact will be greater than ever, and we look forward to putting that impact growth to work for more, Southern CEO Darren Williams said in the release. The buyout was announced in June 2025, according to the previous Daily Citizen reporting. The close of the acquisition follows regulatory and shareholder approval, according to the press release. Legacy Bank operates 10 locations in Missouri, Oklahoma, and Texas, with a staff of nearly 200 people. According to the release, Southern Bancorp will now operate in Arkansas, Missouri, Mississippi, Oklahoma, and Texas, as well as a mortgage division serving customers throughout the southern U.S. Legacy Bank will continue to operate under the pre-acquisition name until the fourth quarter of 2026, according to the release. During this period, Southern Bancorp, Inc. will function as a multi-bank financial holding company, overseeing both Southern Bancorp Bank and Legacy Bank and Trust, as well as Southern Bancorp Community Partners, a nonprofit loan fund, and financial development organization, the company said in the release. Southern Bancorp was founded in 1986 and has grown into a $4.7 billion asset organization with 66 locations serving customers in South and Central U.S. According to the press release, the company did not disclose the terms of the acquisition.
Following the warning from the Ozarks Fire Office, Springfield Daily Citizen carries a Springfield saw an increase in deadly fires in 2025. 4 fire deaths in Springfield this past year mark an increase from the previous 3 years combined. This article was submitted by Elise Dust just 6 hours ago. The city of Springfield saw an increase in the number of deadly fires in 2025. There were 4 deadly fires in Springfield last year, 3 house fires and 1 vehicle fire. That's up from 2 fire deaths in 2024 and 1 in 23 and 0 in 22. The last time Springfield saw more fire deaths was 2020, where there were 7. Each one a tragic reminder of how quickly fire can begin and grow and how vital prevention measures are in protecting our families and community, said Division Chief Jim London, noting the lack of working smoke alarms in the homes where the fires occurred. The first deadly fire of 2025 occurred on March 19th at a home in the 300 block of South New Avenue, claiming the life of 1 victim. Fire Chief Pennington said the investigation into this fire is ongoing and no additional information could be released at this time. The second deadly fire occurred the next day, March the 20th. The fire department reports that 64-year-old Carrie Lynn Richards died in a vehicle fire in the 700 block of West Atlantic Avenue. The third deadly fire occurred on June 6 at a home in the 800 block of South Delaware Avenue. The victim has been identified as 54-year-old James Schnetzler. The fourth and final deadly fire of the year occurred on July 11th at a home in the 1200 block of West Walnut Street. The victim was identified as 67-year-old Catherine Schlesinski. Fire department urges fire safety, especially through winter. The fire department is urging residents of Springfield to ensure that all households have working smoke alarms. According to the press release, SFD recommends that every residence have at least one smoke alarm per floor located in common hallway areas and one smoke alarm inside each sleeping unit to ensure that occupants are alerted quickly, regardless of where the fire may start in the home. This is especially imperative during the winter seasons. Turning on space heaters or cooking up family dinners may seem innocuous, but it is important to note that these activities are also some of the leading cause of house fires. According to the National Fire Protection Association, home fires occur in winter more than any other season. Therefore, SFD has provided some ways for Springfield residents to prepare for those colder months and how to take precautions to prevent fires from starting. Space heaters are the type of equipment most often involved in home heating equipment fires, accounting for 1/3 of the fires, as well as the vast majority of deaths and injuries in home fires caused by heating equipment, according to article from the NFPA. SFD recommends that those who use any kind of heating device keep anything that can burn at least 3 feet away from items such as space heaters, fireplaces, and wood stoves. Additionally, space heaters should always be plugged directly into a wall outlet and turned off before leaving the room or going to bed. When it comes to preventing cooking-related fires, SFD recommends to stay in the kitchen while cooking and keep flammable items such as towels, paper products, and wooden utensils away from stovetops or heating elements. Now is the time to take simple, proactive steps to safeguard your home and loved ones, said Chief London. These small actions can truly save lives. The Springfield Fire Department provides free smoke alarms and batteries to anyone who needs them throughout the year. This article was submitted by Elise Dust to the Daily Citizen, and this is from 6 hours ago.
On a lighter note, today, being January 5th, is National Whipped Cream Day. So feel free to treat yourself to a little bit of dessert. You guys have earned it. And throw in some extra whipped cream. We won't count the calories.
And spend the rest of the day and this week enjoying the weather that was reported earlier. We have experienced some lovely warm temperatures, and we dipped into the 30s. We will dip into the 30s tonight and get into a low of 60s tomorrow. A wave of upper level clouds will hamper highs a bit for the afternoon, but it'll still be warm considering it's January the 5th. And all eyes are anxiously waiting on Thursday. A storm system will swing up from the southwest and produce a round of rain and non-severe thunderstorms from sunrise to sunset. Gardeners, get out your rakes and hoes. It won't rain everywhere all day, but scattered rain will make you want to keep an umbrella close. Rainfall amounts are promising, with several spots likely to build up to a half inch to an inch. Thank you for listening to the Blind Community Thrift Store radio reading service. Tune in every week, Monday through Friday, on the Blind Community Thrift Store's YouTube channel at 10 a.m. for more up-to-date news from the Springfield News-Leader, Springfield Daily News, Springfield Business Journal, and 417 magazine. Listen after we are live on the Audio Reader Network at www.reader.ku.edu. All broadcasts are played over KSMU's subcarrier airwaves at 67 kilohertz on 91.1 from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. Contact Audio Reader Network for more information on receiving a pre-programmed radio. Also, our YouTube channel is
The time is 12 p.m.
is out of reach.
I'm so sorry. I think I stumbled a little bit.
I thought
searching for failure.
I thought I had that timed.
I thought I had enough time to be like getting a nice little like whipped cream thing at the end. I'm like, oh,